Hey. All right. We got another one. Britton Hart. So much fun to talk with her. She was actually born in Utah, but that was kind of it. So we follow her story from how she got involved, the whole deal. And she's not just a fighter, y'all. She's a singer, entrepreneur, public speaker, and all around funny girl. Good time. Hope you enjoy it. Britton Hart, bare knuckle champion. 3, 2, 1. That's a knockout.
3, 2, 1, yeah, that's a knockout. They call me kamikaze, put you in heaven's lobby. All gas, no brakes, you can never stop me. Nah, no, you can never stop me. Yeah, cause I'm the power slap king.
Slap some, baby! All right, Britton, ready to have some fun?
Ready.
All right, everybody. Welcome to Slap Son. We got the queen in the building. You're not ready for this entrepreneur. You're not ready for this pop star. You're not ready for this 5-time champ, the only one that's held the belt in her division. What are we doing here? Let's get into it. We might even talk about latent surf and swim. I'm not sure. Everybody, give it up for Britton Hart.
Let's go. Look, it's getting crazy in here.
The energy's real, fam. I'm so pumped for this. Britton, how are you?
I am doing great. I am right here celebrating about 6 weeks after my Dubai fight. We got amazing projects and amazing future coming up, which we always have, and we always have the power and ability to do that. But executing it is another thing, and we're doing that. So super excited.
Hey, you know what? I want to start with your businesses, honestly, because I feel your pain. My wifey and I, we run a very successful hair salon, and we had an e-com company as well. So when you say execution, I feel that to my heart, girly. I feel that to my heart.
Amen. I feel you too. I just got back from Arizona doing this awesome mastermind, and just to hear and talk to other entrepreneurs and how businesses, whether it's something tangible or your own brand or service, definitely the action part.
Yeah, 100%, man. What got you to start? It's like a beauty line, right? Like shampoo, things like that.
So Warrior Shield
Warrior
is an
Shield, baby. Yeah.
incredible CBD salve. So it's really to help not just athletes, but anybody who wants to feel like a warrior, which means that we want to be able to go out there and slay the day, no matter what it is, a hair salon or in the ring. And sometimes we're up on our feet, we're moving our hands. This CBD salve is going to go and attack the source of the pain. It helps the body's neurosystem where we're going to heal and recover. So it's not something that you have to use every day. It's actually going to make you better. So you have to use it less and less, because we want to make everybody champions and better. And then as a supplement to that line, we have shampoo, soap, conditioner. We really specialize because you see me on the road a lot. So we have this travel pack. So you can take it on the go and be, all natural, feeling your best when you are on the go, doing these business meetings, going to these expos, visiting family, visiting community, to get not only our product out there, but to get your product out there too.
Dude, I love that. Look at you, little entrepreneur going on. I saw you on Instagram quite a bit at that event that you're talking about. Was that something that you were invited to? I just saw you up there speaking to everybody. How'd you get involved with that?
Beautiful story, actually. It just shows how networking is so important and building relationships, not short term, but long term. So when I was out living in California 7 years ago, I was around some really great like-minded people. I was training with some world champs in boxing. And because they knew Blake and Michael from Future Generation Millionaires to Billionaires, they got me involved. So I met Blake and Michael out there, and they were like really just selling this fact of journaling to not only be a champion and win fights, but just win at life. So they started out giving me this journal. They have an awesome clothing brand. And then they were, talking about having this app that would help people more on a digital level and connect people that way. So here it is. Fast forward, they got the app out and they called me, and we've been, in the 7-year journey, we've constantly touched base. They came down when I moved to Miami. They came down and did a huge podcast with me down in Miami. They always touch base. They're like super amazing fans and support group. They even sponsored me for one fight when I fought Jenny Savage, I believe. And then they invited me for this mastermind. It was the first one they ever had. And they said, we want you to be a motivational speaker, because years ago I had talked about that being one of my dreams and kind of my future after fighting. So they believed in me enough to give it a go. And I was one of only 2 female speakers at this event. So it was an incredible opportunity they gave me to be in front of other amazing people. There was like 4 or 5 very credible motivational speakers that literally travel the world doing that. So for me to watch them and then be able to powwow after and say the feedback on what I did, and to see their model of success and how they navigate the world of motivational speaking along with other businesses and branding too. So that's kind of how, really long-winded answer, how that started. So they're friends, the family, and dreamers that just want to give people an opportunity, and they gave me mine. So it was really cool. The first day I was really just there as a student and grabbing all that knowledge and networking. And then the second day I was there as a leader and actually giving my own presentation and motivational speech to the people there.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic. It's like my buddy Charlie Jones. He always says your network is your net worth. So it's so important just to be, especially when you're trying to grow something like a brand or, get it out there. It's so important to be outgoing, say who you are, what you want, and meet those right people. I think that's awesome. Yeah. Is that, well, actually, were you nervous to get up and speak?
So I was nervous.
A little bit?
Yeah, and it's funny because I tell people that and they're like, sorry, I had somebody call me.
I know,
They're
you're
like,
good. You're fine.
why are you nervous? You get punched in the face for a living. I'm like, damn, when you put it like that, I said, but that's really relatively a lot easier than speaking in front of a lot of
That's
people.
fascinating, man.
But it is wild. But I really just kind of said, hey, this is, again, really taking the example of fighting in the ring and applying it to real life. This is what you asked for. This is what you wanted to do. No one's forcing you to do this. You chose this. You have to own it. And it was so crazy because even though I had this awesome PowerPoint, awesome speech originally, hearing the other speakers and talking to other people, I probably changed the concept of my idea like 8 times. I was like, whoa, I need to go this way, or no, scratch that story. I need to tell this story. And so by the time I went up there, I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm just going to speak, and whatever comes out, how I go and flow with it is kind of how it will come out. It was interesting. And I love that I did that because a lot of people really received it well. But again, how we grow and learn, having something when you're telling stories, you kind of want to focus on the back then, the shift, and then you want to go to now. So it was a really interesting concept on applying that in the moment. And I think I did relatively a really great job, but it was very human. It was very authentic. So yeah, it worked out really well, but nervous for sure. Afterwards, I was like, I sat down. I'm like, why do you say some of the things you say, Britt? And then everyone comes up to me after and they're like, oh my gosh, you're such an inspiration. That was so amazing. You did excellent. So again, taking that into consideration, that we are our own worst critics. And sometimes when we go up there, we don't absorb how other people are absorbing it. So it was great. What a great opportunity. And now I just want to get better and hone in on those type of skills and not be as nervous. And, it was cool because other people were up there. They're like, we're in the right room because we're not judging how many people have been up here before where they're shaking you really. And I didn't do that. So I'm really impressed with that ability.
No, and what a way to like find out you have that ability literally in like real time. That's insane.
Right.
And you know what? I can relate to you as far as you kind of, doing the podcast. We started about a year ago. The real quick version is we went to a Power Slap event. I didn't know what the hell that was. And I wanted to see Paige Van Zandt. So we went to this event and we had the best time. Like I was so surprised how fun it was. And then my son decided, well, he's like, dude, we should start a podcast. And so, anyway, fast forward to now, and I can relate to you because I tried to like, prepare as far as like what to say. And I found out so quickly, it's better to do your research and then just go with the flow with the audience that you have, because I started to like trip up over my words a little bit because I had to stick to some type of plan or whatever. And it always goes so much better when you just sort of improv, and just speak from the heart. I totally agree.
Right, exactly. And I kept writing notes and what I was going to do. And then the fact that I was changing it so much, I was like, you know what? Just go up there and exactly what you said, speak from the heart. And it's always perceived, even when you mess up. But when you mess up on something that's so structured and you have your words, then it's kind of like, well, he's just reading off a piece of paper,
Right.
But if you mess up when you're speaking honestly and authentically, it's like, wow, they're being real right now. So what a tip to give people who are trying it out. Don't overthink it and over worry. As long as you're going up there and being yourself, it will always be perceived well.
Yeah, 100%. And we can't step over the fact, speaking of being yourself. So you're like a pop star. What are you doing, fam? You're just getting out there on stage, singing hit singles. You're on top for sure, girly. What's going on with that? How'd you get involved in creating a single?
Gosh, I know. What another dream and just testimony that you guys can do anything you want. Literally, when I'm in the car and putting Apple Music, I'm on definitely team iPhone, and you go and
Me
type
too.
in
Me too.
Britton Hart. Yeah, good, because I'm definitely team iPhone. You got to have the cool emojis and the fireworks to be able to send to your friends. But
That's right.
yeah, I downloaded Britton Hart on top, and just to see that, just to like look at your phone and type it and it come up in the iMusic store. Wow, what a feeling. And it's one of those singles for me. Every time I hear it, it brings a smile to my face. I don't know how you can't listen to that song and not smile and feel the vibe. And the motivation to, we can be on top in anything, at any place, anytime that we want to do, as long as we, surround ourselves with people and have a strong net worth, which is our network. And I am so unbelievably blessed with the network that I have around me that made that song possible.
Yeah, that's insane. I was joking with Carter, man. Because I was listening to it last week when we first scheduled this. I'm like, gotta get pumped. Gotta see what this girl's about, man. Gotta listen to her song. It's good. I really enjoy. I truly did. Like I listened to it probably 30 times now. Like it's on replay in the house. You know what I mean?
I love it. Yeah,
No,
we're
it's
gonna
so
go to
cool.
karaoke hopefully this week if we don't get rained out. And I'm totally playing it there. And so I'm
Yes.
super stoked because again, full circle and rewind to the fast forward. I used to work as a bartender at this karaoke joint. And so for 3 years, I would hear other people karaoke, other songs like Britney Spears or, Torn, whatever songs that were
Torn. That's a
karaoke
deep
hits.
cut right there. Natalie
Yeah,
and Bruce.
right.
Yeah, dude.
I've heard that song so many times, Carrie,
I
but
love
it
that.
just jumps in my mind. But now to be like, wow, maybe, not maybe, it's going to happen. Somebody's going to karaoke on top by Britton Hart.
I think that's so awesome. And what a way do you really credit fighting as a big part of that to open up all these avenues?
Do in a way that I do really wholeheartedly believe everybody has two really important dates in their life. The day that they're born, I think everyone's birthday is so special because that's the day you were brought in this world. And then I think the day you find out why you were born is, those are just the two best dates ever. And for me, I really felt when I was younger, I was always meant for more. I really struggled with that as a child and a young adult on never feeling like I belonged and kind of being the black sheep. And even though I had friends, it was like really I really wasn't in the right place. And when I started fighting, even though really boxing was never my dream, I never wanted to box until I was 26 years old. So it was really just a really quick, spontaneous, here I am, 26 years old, full of life's problems. Nothing hits harder than life. And they're like, oh, you should box. And I'm like, well, why not? I don't have anything else to lose. Well, that day was the first day in my whole entire life I knew why I was born. And so I do credit fighting for that platform because without that, I wouldn't have realized that important date on why I was here. And I think me being a fighter, a lot of times we see, there are many better, greater fighters than me in life. They're just not in the ring. And so we don't really see them because they're
Mm.
not in the spotlight. They're not on TV, but they're fighting things like cancer. They're fighting hunger. They're going out on missionary trips. They're fighting, they're keeping their family together when their child has leukemia. Like those are real battles and fights that we just really never give testimony to because we don't see them blasted on, social media or podcasts or anything like that. So being that I'm a fighter and that I can actually, you know, communicate these things that are going on in the world and the people around me. And I know that people see me back home watching this podcast being like, wow, she's right. Again, we bring up the amazing example of a hair salon. So many people look at me and they're like, oh, I would never do what you do. But you are. You're just doing it in a different variable, not fighting in the ring. You're fighting to keep your business alive and network and find out the tools to practice, the skills to hone in on your craft. And so for me, fighting just made that so much more visible to where we can really, fight and attack and be defensive and offensive on real life problems.
No, that man, I actually got the chills when you were talking. That's so true. Like it doesn't matter if you're not in the public forefront. We're all fighting whatever life is throwing at us. And the one of the crueler things in life, I personally believe, is just like, okay, Father Time and life may be quote unquote undefeated, but we get these wins, you know, and because life doesn't stop, it doesn't stop, it keeps coming, but we get these wins. And in your case, you've got a crazy win streak going right now in BKFC, but you're also getting these other wins as well. And the whole time in the background, look, I can't imagine the people coming at you, wanting this, wanting that, but you still put on this energy and this smile. And I think you really nailed it when you can be that example and people back home do see you and go, oh, hey, this is possible. And in the fight game, 26 is old to get started. So you can also prove, Britain, that like age is literally just a number. Do you want it or do you not? Yeah.
Absolutely. And here we are, 35, and my first single. So again, Father Time, time doesn't stop for anybody, but hey, time is always going to be greater than money. And it's that thing. Hey, we have $86,400 every day. What will we do with it? What will we do with our life? And knowing at the end of the day, it expires. And the next day you get another $86,400. How will we change our life? Well, we get 86,400 seconds each day and we get new ones the next day. So what do you do with that? Has nothing to do with age or, anything other than just going out and finding it and making it happen and executing exactly what you want, regardless of age.
Yeah, I love that so much. I try and teach that to my boys as well. Just that what happens is you kind of maybe subconsciously or maybe not so subconsciously, but you look around and when you start to be 21, 25, you really do, even at that young age, I tell my boys that you start to see people kind of choose where they're going to go and who they're going to be. And unfortunately, because there's so many people out there that have dreams and they have passions and they don't want to be in a cubicle 9 to 5, but they feel like that's where they need to be. And they get in this mindset. And I just want to let them know as their dad that like, there's no rules to this game. If you want to create a single at 35 and do that, you can freaking do it. And everyone's going to look at you and go, well, how did that happen? Or they'll look at you and maybe have some hate and go, well, them the blank reason why this happened. And there's none of that. You just literally have to live those minutes that you're talking about every day, literally how you want to live them. And I love that you're an example of that. That's amazing.
Thank you. Yeah. And, same thing with me. I had my son at 19. So I have a 15-year-old right now, which I know he's taller than me. It still blows my mind.
Oh,
but
man.
for him,
Has he got his driver's permit?
He's going to, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Should be like any day now. So I'm pumped for that. But I remember he's definitely not that way. So super shout out to my son. But rewind, he said one day, we used to do all this like archaeologist stuff together. It was a really deep passion that me and him share. We get rocks, we like look up dinosaurs. And I asked him one day, I'm like, you still want to be an archaeologist, right? And he was like, no, I don't want to be that anymore. And I'm like, what? Why? Like, that was your always what he said he wanted to be when he was grow up. And I get it, our childhood dreams, like we want to be an astronaut when we're six and then
Right,
it
right.
changed when we're older. But I'm just curious as a mother and a person, a human being, why did your dream change? He said, I don't want to be an archaeologist because his dad told him that he can't have a family if he's an archaeologist. And I was like, what do you mean you can't have a family? He's like, well, because I would have to travel and go here and do this and I'd be away. And then if I followed that career, then I wouldn't be able to have a family. And I'm like, no, absolutely not. One, you can meet this beautiful woman while you're an archaeologist and you do it together and you have kids and what's homeschool them. You could be a teacher, work in a museum in DC, and you're still an archaeologist, but you do have that family setting. So don't let someone else foreshadow or tell you can't be something because you can't have something else, because you can definitely go and find it and make that happen. So now here we are, these were years and years ago, and I try to do the same thing and be a great parent and give that speech and advice. Now he's going to Tokyo in a week, I think. So as a 15-year-old, just to want to be able to branch out and see the world and travel and go have that experience and not worry about it and be fearless is such an amazing quality and something that I feel like we really should give our youth, even selfishly. Of course, as parents, we want our kids to stay so we can kind of monitor them and see them. But to know and hear this testimony of like, well, man, I didn't feel like I belonged, or I changed my dream because of what a family member said. Like, I hope that sinks into some people that, we should never put people down like that or criticize them for following their dream and being something positive.
Wow. Amen. Amen. I love that. Cause you do get in your own head and, shit, man. I mean, maybe that comes with age. Like you hear the saying that youth is wasted on the young, right? And as I get older, that phrase really does resonate more. So I look at my kids and just like what you're saying, I look at them and I go, there's no rules to this game. You are in charge, son. Like, you can do whatever. And the fact you were able to talk them through that a little bit, dude, I love that so much, because it's like when we were growing up. So I'm an 80s, 90s child, right? It was rough out there. We had our challenges, things like that. But it's interesting that just watching my kids grow up, they really do. It's rough out there now, but it's not so physical anymore, if that makes sense. It's
Totally.
more like this emotional, mental thing, because they're a little bit quieter. They're on their phones. It's more internal. And so they get this effect from other people, and it affects them too much. They don't have the thicker skin or whatever it may be, because they trust those people as well. And to turn that mentality around is a big deal. I mean, it's a big one up in life. Your son's going to have a one up in life because he's got that mentality already. Okay. Do we dare talk about fighting? Do we want to go down this path?
Hey, that's basically my name. So
Yeah,
I'm a fighter in
it.
every sense of the word. So how can we
Dude, I
not
love
talk
it.
about it?
Well, I want to know the feeling you got, if you can rechannel that, when they first wrapped the strap around your waist, right? To the feeling you have now and the responsibility you have now. What do you still have that just amazing feeling that you're the champion? Or do you feel like now it's not so much an amazing feeling, it's like an amazing duty of yours to keep defending this thing?
Yeah, wow. What an awesome loaded question. Yeah, the first time I won the belt, it was a little weird, honestly, because it was in Montana, so it was real time scoring. So every round was like, you won, you won, you won.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, so when, it came to that moment where you're sitting with the referee and you're waiting to hear the judges' scores and you're like, I know I won, but what if I get robbed? It's like that weird, crazy adrenaline rush I would never think as a fighter I actually chase. But now that I've been put in it, knowing that you win versus that, like, oh my God, did I win or not, is a totally different adrenaline rush. So when I did win it, it was pure joy, though. I knew I won it. It was kind of a cool story, to the testimony of confidence and going in and owning something through and through. So the first time I won the belt, it was like, no shadow of doubt, I was meant to do this. Again, I was born to do this. I was made for this. About damn time. Like, that was kind of my reaction. Like, it's about damn time I get this gold strap wrapped around my waist. And so each fight after that, it was the damnedest thing. I remember Dubai and talking to some people and really like connecting with them on a really deep emotional level. Like, man, why is this? Been here, done that. This is going to be my fifth belt. What? I really want to have that first experience where, yeah, this is mine, and you got to kill me to come get it. But it is that responsibility to keep that belt. I was like, why am I so nervous? This is everything I asked for. Again, going with a motivational speech. I asked to be here. I chose to do this. I believe in myself. Why am I nervous? And another fighter shared with me, they're like, they don't ever tell you that when you win, it gets harder. They really don't. They say, oh, when you win, you made it. You're at the top. But it's like, man, people don't tell you also that little fine small print. The oxygen is way thinner at the top. And it's a wild place to be when you're like, yeah, I know, and I've been rock bottom before, so I really do get that. If I lost everything today, my house burnt down, I lost the belt, everybody around me left me. I've done that before. Like, that's happened to me before, and I came out really, really great. I worked through that. So why am I nervous and scared now? And I think it really is that responsibility and fear of, man, I've come so far and I've worked so hard to get up here. And I know the oxygen is thin, but I can handle it. Please let me handle it. Can I handle it? And, we all kind of go through that self-doubt talk and really just have to know that's why it's so important to have great people around you, because if I wasn't around great people, that self-talk would just be amplified to where I would pass out being on the top. But because other people around me, they're my oxygen. So that's what I really look forward to now with that belt, is not really that I'm keeping it for me or that it's hard or tough for me. It's, man, there's these people that are giving me air and giving me life. I don't want to let them down. And they really are been my lifeline and support and keeping this belt and knowing that I want to tackle bigger and more impactful dreams than just having a belt and shiny gold thing around my waist. Like, what else can I do with it? And there is that tiny little bit of fear that if I lost it, would I still be able to make the same impact outside of fighting?
Yeah, and I think honestly, I think you're kind of on that trajectory. I mean, you're putting things in place now while the shine is bright, so when that light dims just a little bit, you've got something else that can shine on you. So I think you're doing that. Yeah. I talked to, we know everybody at Power Slap, and so we've talked to a lot of the champs over there. And even though the sports are, different, what you're saying, even in Power Slap, and I'm sure it's the same in other sports as well, NBA, NHL, hockey, whatever. But when you get to the mountaintop and you're there alone, it always seems to be they don't give you much time to enjoy it sometimes. Now you've got more press. Now you've got more XYZ, more this, more that, more pressure from your family because they see you as, they think of you as a billionaire. And some people want handouts and all this stuff when really at the end of the day, you did it. You became champion. You're at the top. And so the people around you is so important. I appreciate that answer because, I don't know, people are different. Sometimes people get cocky and they're like, I'm going to have this thing forever. But to have an answer where you know what you need to be grounded to keep breathing that thin air is huge. What is it like fighting somebody like Ty who, after your match on Instagram, she can freely post, the respect level you guys have, there's still a friendship there. When you're fighting somebody that you're kind of close with, how do you flip that switch, Britton, where it's like, okay, this doesn't matter now, it's business. I got to get this done.
Yeah, it was one of the hardest things. Actually, it was probably the most difficult component of the fight. My team, we have a lot of inside jokes and inside memories on it, but it was although I really appreciate it and it was super special to me, it had its annoyance too, because it was like, damn, this girl's so nice and she's amazing and she's respectful and I've earned that, and wow, like that's so cool that I made it there. But even hearing her like in the press conference, my team was probably so mad at me, but she's sitting there like, man, this is a dream come true. This is a Cinderella story to me. And I'm sitting there like, I said that once. Oh man, I don't want to take this girl's Cinderella story. Like, I know how much it means. And I'm like, no. And they're like, fuck that. You're going to go take her Cinderella story. You're going to smash her glass slippers. And I'm like, but it means so much to her,
Man,
That's
And
real, fam. That's
so,
real.
yeah, and it was. And I'm not like, I really have a difficult time, but that's why it was so important and really why I'm so proud, why we have such a great connection now, because it does show again, real life scenario. One of my biggest hangups I've ever had in my life is that I have sacrificed myself for someone else's happiness because someone was around me and I loved them so much that I put their needs above mine. Or if they didn't want me to do something, I listened to them. Or, I knew they were really bad for me and dragging me down and keeping me from my goal. So in this situation, from we have family members that keep us away from our goals in life. This girl, and they're being nice. Oh, I love you, sweetie. Don't go away. Don't follow this job. We need you here. Your husband, your wife. Oh, baby, but I need you. And then you stop focusing on what really is important, what you need to do, and then you don't ever do it. And then you're stuck 20 years later, like, man, here I am alone at the top of the mountain with thin air by myself, and no one's here because woulda, shoulda, coulda. So in that fight, I had to really tone in and think and put it in that light. Like, here's this girl who's very nice and respectful, and I want to make her dreams come true too. But my dream is to be 5-time champ. My family and team that support me and do good things for me, positive things, not toxic things. They want me to be 5-time champ. Am I going to sacrifice all that and let that go because, oh, here's somebody who wants it too. Here's somebody who's keeping me from it. And I have to learn my lesson in this concept in life because it's definitely been something that's been some of my darkest demons in my past or my skeletons in my closet. So for me to do that and think, hey, no matter what, no matter how nice this girl is, maybe she's gaslighting me, maybe she's manipulating me, maybe she's telling me what I want to hear. I'm not saying that's the case for Ty. I think Ty is a great girl, but that's how I had to approach it in my mind to make sure that we went out there and had an epic fight. And we did just that. We didn't hold back whatsoever. We weren't nice. We weren't babying each other. We weren't, giving each other a break. We put it all out in the ring. And so now we can walk away from this fight with no woulda, shoulda, couldas. And that was the best feeling of that fight, even though
No,
it was hard and tough. And, she broke my nose and at the, her eyes are all swollen up and I'm like, God, we really did the damn thing, huh? Women warriors.
no, you really did. And ironically, isn't it funny that if you would have treated it more like a friendship going in there, it might have put a rift between you guys because all respect would have been out the window.
Yeah. Yeah. And
So
I think, we've seen women fights like that, where it's boring and they're like, filling each other out or giving each other a little room. And then, bam, you just put a dark blemish on combat sports, on your promotion, on yourself, and all because you were just, I don't want to say respecting the person a little much, but, when we're talking about fighting in combat sports, that was always such a weird phenomenon to me when people would say that. Or I think in my earlier parts of my career, people would be like, wow, Britain doesn't have great sportsmanship. I'm like, we're not playing basketball. This girl,
dude, for
this girl,
real.
yeah, like she wants to hurt me and punch me. And at the end of the day, if I won the fight, awesome, great. I'm the better fighter. But it doesn't erase the disrespect, the things that we sold online. Like, get that right. If I'm beefing with someone online, it's real. It's not made up or just for clickbait. It's real. And we're going to keep that same energy all the way through until I get my, the apology's always got to be as big as the offense. I'm always really super grounded in that belief. So if you bash me online, no, you're not coming to my face. Oh, Britt, I'm super sorry what I said online. You're going to go online and you're going to say, I am super sorry for bashing Britain online, because the apology always has to be as big as the offense. I hate where people think that they can do something so bad and negative to you and think that an apology erases it. And then they try to say, oh, you should have forgiveness in your heart and forgive me. No, it's not a matter of me forgiving you. Your apology needs to be as big as what you did and the hurt. And so we need to do that in sports and in real life, and not brush things that can really hurt or cause people more self-doubt talk or, negative, going through it and changing and altering their steps in life to success because some of the actions that we do to people.
No, 100%. I actually agree. If you're going to be publicly trying to quote unquote, kill somebody, like fam that's watching and listening, you know what I mean? Make their life harder. You should be able to try and repair that publicly as well. Yeah,
Right.
100%.
And it doesn't have to be humiliating. So advice to other people, like, I'm not going to do that because I'm a bitch. Like, it shows more strength when you can go up there and be like, hey, the fight was awesome. I know I said some things leading up to the fight. It was, my emotions were getting the best of me. And that's the mental mind frame I had to get into to want to hurt this girl. And so I had to hate her guts, and it was the wrong thing to do. But I truly don't believe that. Great fight. End of story. I would then we're going to do the good old days, like we were talking about where we grew up, where we would talk shit about people, beat them up, but in the parking lot or behind the dumpsters at school, and then we'd shake it out and be best friends. Like, there was some beauty in those old days of being rough and tough and physical and just getting it out there, not bottling inside and then going home and being like, man, maybe I am really smelly and stinky because Susie said it at school.
So true.
I have anxiety now and I'm going to go spend hundreds of dollars on deodorant. Like, those are real courses from someone just saying you're stinky. You don't know how that affects someone when they go home.
No, it's real. I mean, it's a funny example, but it's not, because that happens to people and they do start hating on themselves, which is such a waste of time. And it's so hard because it just takes you to realize, or life lessons to realize, that someone can't own your emotions like that. If you're stinky, okay, cool. Own it or not and move on. And it's so hard to do, but it's so important to learn as well, to that you're, again, just, we keep going back to it, but fam, you're in charge of you. Like, there's days where you're thinking it's not going to be cool because someone's calling you stinky and you're like, oh man, I got to go to Walmart and get all this deodorant. But when you start to feel who you really are and you get grounded in yourself, you hear that and it does affect you. You're a human, I get it, but it's how long and how much does it affect you? I mean, that's what it really comes down to. And
that's why this podcast is so important, because people, you're right, who don't have that, they can hear it. Now they can take action and be like, you know what? You're right. I am control of that, and water off a duck's back,
Yeah, 100%. Well, I don't want to, man, this is great. I'm having so much fun. Thank you for coming on.
I know, went a little deeper than
we
than
did.
We
did.
I'm like,
yeah,
damn.
we had some chills come up the long sleeve. You know what I mean? Like, it was good. I have to ask before we let you go, what is next? Anybody in mind? Any city in mind? Because there's an event, it seems like every 2 weeks. What's next for Britain in the fight game?
So I definitely have a what's next. So that is exciting. I'm super pumped in all aspects of life, but in fighting too. And so we can't say too much right now. So it's still under wraps. So very on the DL, but just know everything's bigger with Britain Hart.
Hey, well, we'll end on that. We can't wait for the news. And where can everyone find you on social media so they can follow your journey?
Yep, Team Britain Hart on all platforms. I did learn from this networking event, so I'm kind of impressed and proud of myself that you really should just choose one and attack and do that before you work on the other one. So I'm taking that advice. So I'm big on Instagram. If I had to go and I get that really wrapped up, TikTok is one that I really want to start getting bigger and more involved on. But really, my platform is Instagram, guys. So I don't want anyone to think, I don't want to mislead anyone. I'm really attacking Instagram and growing that. So if you could follow me, it's completely free just to click the follow button, and on Warrior Shields too, and my sponsors, Muscle Meds and Magic Dose, Lab 111 Sports. If you could just give us a follow, it is such if you enjoyed this podcast and the speech and we're like, let me give her a high five, there's a virtual high five. If you follow that, it means the world. But yeah, and if you guys have any questions, reach out, comments, and I will do my best to get to you guys.
All right. Perfect. All right. Let's let this bitch upload. And thank you so much. It means a lot.
Absolutely. Likewise. I really love talking to you too, Joe. So glad that we're keeping on.
100%. 100%. All right. One sec here.
All right. That's all she wrote. And remember, be your real self. Because if you can't be real, you're fake. Just like gravity, elves, and Eskimos. Goodbye.